Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. Hope to see you there.
In a world of capes and lunatics, gods and monsters, there are theories, fan theories, madness derived from our own hearts that cannot be contained. These are connections across connections, super connections, if you will, and this is Superconnectivity. I am your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me today is my dear friend and co-host, TFBot16. Hello, TFBot.
Beep boop bop.
Beep boop bop, says TFBot16. All right, TFBot, how have you been? Are you doing well today?
I have been good.
That is good. We are going to be discussing today a lot of interesting realities that are going on in the world of pop culture. And you have said that you had discussions of theories you wanted to talk about the gaming world, one that we have not done a lot of on this channel or this show. Is that correct?
Yeah, if I can, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Great. Okay. So first things first, before we jump into your thing and organize your thoughts, TFBot.
I will.
Yeah, first thing I want to talk about is, of course, the big news coming out of Hollywood, which is that James Gunn, the hero of the DC extended universe, We'll get to James Cavill coming back in a minute, but he is now taking over the DCEU along with another person who is a producer who actually does the hard work. But he's the artsy guy who's gonna make it not be horrible, hopefully. Because one thing we can say about him is he does like comic books, and while I don't trust him with my life, I do trust him with my comic books. Trademark, yes. Yes, we had come up with that gag earlier today. So what's interesting about this on a lot of levels is just the fact that James Gunn, of course, has an established history with Marvel and a strong connection with Kevin Feige. And he has kind of suggested that he would like to do a Marvel Universe, DC Universe crossover, which, of course, one hopes leads us eventually to the great Amalgamverse. TFBot16, do you have any knowledge of the Amalgamverse?
Is that the one where Marvel and DC do that crossover where they mix up their heroes?
Yeah, like, exactly.
Like Wolverine, Batman, and Joker, Sabretooth.
Yes, which is actually one of my favorites, Darkclaw, and I believe it was called the Hyena, which was, and because that has that classic line in it that, you know, the problem with a living weapon that no one thinks about is sometimes a living weapon gets up off the table and just starts shooting itself. You know, that you can't control a living weapon because it's a living weapon. It's like the idea of something being living and being a weapon are two mutually exclusive categories, and yet people with poor foresight do explore that. You know, I do like the idea of James Gunn coming into this because he is a comic books fan, because he is for those who don't know, he got his start in Troma, which is a world that exists within a nonsensical, fantastical concept of space and time. So he knows how to tell a story. He knows how to give the people what they want. Much similar to The Rock in Black Adam recently, where it is this idea of, look, you can't, if you're going to do superhero stories, you can tell deep and complex human stories, but you still have to give the people what they want, which is in between the deep and powerful and human stories. Have punching, or have something that stimulates us in some way or another. And so I do think that this is a good move for DC. They have brought back Henry Cavill, who is the Superman from the Snyder stuff. And of course, a lot of people think that this means that the Snyderverse is now coming back. I think it's the exact opposite. I think it is literally just, this is the guy who we have on contract that a lot of people liked, and that what was in the Snyderverse, it's there, but it's not there. It's canon, but it is not really canonical. It's an open question, how these things will work out, but I am very excited about it. Tristan, do you have any thoughts on, any field of genre that you've been watching recently, that you've seen recently? Stuff that maybe I, as an adult, do not have as much awareness of.
Wait, hold on.
TFBot 16?
Sorry, something happened to my headphone.
Okay. Have it fixed? TFBot, you're not talking.
Hold on. I gotta work on your sorry.
Well, it was always working. I don't know what you were doing. That was the problem.
So. I know. My headphones, for some reason, disconnected, although it said it was still connected. So I just had to...
Anyway, well, this is why, again, like I said, I wanted you to use the headset and the computer, not working through your phone. This is where I get the judgmentalness. I get the judgmentalness as the adult. TFBot 16.
All right, let's just talk about what. So, fun fact, in the original Team Fortress 2, there was gonna be a green and yellow team, it would only be in a specific mode called Payload Race, where it's basically like Payload, but multiple teams have their own bomb, and they gotta get it to the hole before the other team gets there.
Okay, now this is Team Fortress 2. This is a very popular video game that the young people like yourself are playing, correct?
Actually, strangely, no, not really. But
oh, no. Just you?
No, there's still people playing it. I wouldn't call them young.
Oh, okay. Well, you're... okay, Tristan. I'm sorry, TFBot?
You can call me Tristan, I don't care.
Okay, well, that's fine. But you are young.
Yeah, I know.
But so the people who are playing this are older than you, mostly, you find?
Sometimes. I mean, it was a game made in 2007,
okay.
And a lot of them might have been playing through Team Fortress Classic, which was made in sometime in the 90s, so...
Okay. I mean, that's fine. So what is the...
Anyway, let's go back to the topic.
Okay, let's go back.
In the lore, there are two sons named Redmond Man and Blue Tark Man. They're basically the guys who play the red and blue teams to fight each other. But since in Payload Race there is a green and yellow, would that mean that there would have been a green and yellow man, or would there have been or would they have just had a specific team that they were buying, or was it just or the third parties? I'm not really sure, but even though technically it's no longer canon, it's more like a what if it was still canon.
Well, do you think that maybe they might one day have two other brothers be revealed?
They did have a third brother be revealed called Gray Man. And,
okay.
He's kind of the guy who made the team, and he's kind of the guy who runs the robots in Team Fortress 2 Man vs. Machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
So,
funny enough, Gabe Newell's son is actually named Gray.
So So there's the red team founded by one brother, the blue team founded by the other brother, but now we have another gray brother who has created the machine method. So we have man versus machine. Now here's a question for you, TFBot16. As he is the gray brother, do you think he himself, or they themselves, or she themselves, might be a robot as well?
No, he's dead.
Oh, he's dead. But could he live on? But could he live on as a machine?
Actually, that could be possible. They did seem kind of dead.
Yeah, I mean that's always the thing when you're dealing with any kind of deep lore like this. You have to look at the connections that you get from it. So if we know that the first two teams are the two brothers, and we are informed that there was once a third who is now dead, but now this third brother sends machines against his brother's armies, should we not then assume that the third brother is now a machine, like so much Arnim Zola or other villain maintained on magnetic tapes?
I mean, we don't really know. We just gotta wait for the creator of the comics to get all the legal business out of the way and make the last comic. And the last comic was made in 2015. But,
so Team Fortress has comics.
Yeah, it has a comic run, and they haven't released the final comic yet.
Wait, did you say comment or comic? Comics, like the paper thing, the old-fashioned paper things that Daddy brings home from the store every Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you've never asked me to pick these comics up for you, so that's why it's a little.
I think there are more online comics than.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the online comic universe is quite advanced. So that's good. That is good. So okay, so that is interesting. So what else is out there, TFBot, that interests you?
Give me a moment to think.
Okay. I do like the possibility of new adventures coming into things and new ways of telling stories coming into things. One of the things that I think is really interesting in our modern world is just how much we are getting into building lore. And this is, I think, what has been very interesting, again, to get it back to the idea of James Gunn in the DCEU and building out this new DCEU universe, is that there is so much of a desire to build a universe, and yet so many people are fighting to control it. And I think that in this placement of Gunn, it is about to say that, look, we're going to have a unified voice, and we're actually going to respect the voice because this is a voice that has turned profits. In this sense, James Gunn has, built within the framework that he had been given. So he built all of his stories within the Amanda Waller and the superhero universe. And now we've merged in with Black Adam and the Justice Society, this other aspect of the universe that really builds it out into a much more impressive format, much in the same way that as we made the point when Shazam came out, this was a universe in which superheroes had existed. And to me, that was always Zack Snyder's mistake, was trying to create an origin story this late in human history. This late in human history, we have had heroes for millennia. The idea that, you're going to suddenly have Hercules show up 5,000 years after the fact just seems weird when obviously all these beings were always active. And what we get with the Black Adam story is literally this idea of a team of superhumans going back into the early parts of the 20th century. And the idea of costumed heroes being around, even if they were not public figures. Although by the time we get to the Black Adamiverse, we do see this idea of, which again, we see again in the Shazamiverse, which is why I really want to call this the Fawcettaverse. In this moment, you do see that there are lots and lots of superhero iconography out there. And, I think that was always the problem, was that Zack Snyder didn't want to have Batman toys at your local Costco. But, the idea that there wouldn't be Batman toys at Costco is a silly idea. Because obviously these are things that exist. These are things that people are interacting with. Obviously, they're going to influence our popular culture. That's always that mistake that I feel that Alan Moore made when he said comics would exist, but not superhero comics because superheroes were real, as if the existence of police comics, the existence of police officers made police procedurals not real. Far more likely is you would get more of the content, but also be the idealized form of the content. But that's just my opinion. TFBot 16, do you have a theory?
Oh, here's a theory. Going back to Team Fortress 2, so sometimes when people do the red versus blue team, they have them just be like how the game is, where it's just the same group of mercenaries, but just wearing different colors. But I believe that in the comics, it shows like that the mercenaries we follow are just kind of switch around the teams, like how some would be red, some would be blue. So I feel like that might be what they meant in that panel. It's in the comics, but it's just like an introduction of all the mercenaries throughout the years. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. That I don't think that it's just two groups of 9 mercenaries wearing different costumes, but more that it's one group of mercenaries wearing different colored costumes.
I understand completely. All right. So, TFBot, I think we've come to the end of this episode. We're going to do it as a quick, short one, just a filler, just to keep the kids interested as we're learning how to dip our toes back into the super connections. Do you have any final thoughts on the state of popular culture and media today?
Well, I feel like that some people can be overlooking into something, usually with theories, and that's not a bad thing. It's just like I remember seeing a video about just the thumbnail and that scene in Wakanda Forever where where it had those 2 Black Panther helmets and saying that there would be and the title and the picture in the thumbnail kind of made it look like there might be 2 Black Panthers, but I really just think that it's just the original Black Panther's helmet and not another one.
Yeah, I mean that is obviously one of the real problems in the field of imagined lore, because that is what we're working in here. It's just this idea of looking for that one item that says Mephisto confirmed and going way off our rails on it. And goodness knows I am as guilty of that as everybody.
We aren't all innocent of doing that. If we like theories, we might look into some things and might overthink it.
Well, exactly. And, I think overthinking is a good thing, Because here's the thing, like, the more we overthink things, and this is what I always say about films and television, you can always outthink the writer, but what makes it good writing is when you thought you outthought the writer, but the writer actually had a different idea than you. You know, that the writer that you were going to say, oh, well, when you look at the concept of the story, I think it always we build out these legends in our mind, but then a real writer comes in and says, no, here's a story that you didn't think of, because quite frankly, the thing you didn't think of is always more entertaining. Because every time we walk into any movie or any TV show, we always have a story in mind. But what makes it an interesting story is when it winds up not being the story we thought it was.
Well,
all right.
It does make sense why the story that you think would be more entertaining, because it might be more entertaining for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyway, let's continue with the end.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, that's the idea. It's like, it's more entertaining for you, but is it going to be more entertaining for everyone? And the truth is I actually feel that if I spoil myself with every gag in a film, it's not going to be a fun film. If I see it happening from like the first scene, like when I'm watching a murder mystery and I go, oh yeah, that's the thing. That was the tell that they were doing there. I get that, and it's good for the story, but the fact of the matter is that if that happens all the time, like when it happens once, I feel smart. When it happens every time, I just feel like this writer wasn't trying.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, I would like to let our friends know out there, this is our first foray back into Superconnectivity. I hope you liked it. If there are things you liked or things you didn't like, please let us know. You can write to us at CapesandLunatics@gmail.com. That's Capes and Lunatics, all spelled out, at gmail.com. You can call us and leave us a voice message. Please try to keep it clean.
Please don't do anything inappropriate.
At 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And of course, you can always connect to us at Linktree, linktr.ee/CapesandLunatics. There you can find links to all of the shows on the Capes and Lunatics network. And just see what it is we're talking about here every week for your entertainment. You can also there either become a Patreon and become a dedicated member who gives us money on a regular basis, even just this very, very tiny amount. And then you get to vote on things that we work on. Or you can just give us money just for free and say, you know what, this episode was worth $5, and just give us $5 and say that was worth it for me. And wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, TFBot, if people would like to contact you via social media, is there a way they could do that? Is there a way they should do that? Or should they just, mind their own business?
There's not really a way they can contact me.
Okay, so they should.
No, I don't really have a contact. So sorry, but I don't have a contact. That's
perfectly fine. I actually don't want you being contacted by random strangers out there on the internet. In the meantime, if you would like to contact me in a perfectly legal adult manner, you can write to me in that old-fashioned email way that our mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. Okay, let me do it so that they can hear it. Yeah, that's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet things when I feel like it at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEssser. Look for the two E's
in the middle.
For what?
Corey!
Thank you, Tristan. Bang. All right, dear friends, you have come to the end of another episode of Superconnectivity. I hope you have connected something in your mind with the glories that is the internet, And please come back again next week to Super Connect with us again. Good night.
Random Chris or Fair and Value.